Well, I love Midsommar,
Hmm.
a lot. I've probably seen it maybe 8 or 9 times. I joked around with A earlier, and it's true that I fell asleep to it for a period of time. I'm a little bit of a freak, I guess, but I I liked sort of falling asleep to Midsommar.
Hmm.
And I think it's a beautifully shot film. And I love horror. I'm obsessed with horror.
Hmm.
And I also loved that he chose a horror film that took place entirely in the daylight.
Yeah,
I thought
interesting.
that was an incredibly cool choice. And there are, and he was pretty inspired by The Wicker Man, which
Oh
also
yeah,
I just got to see in theaters recently at IFC. I got to see The
it's
Wicker
excellent.
Man, and
It's
that
excellent.
yeah,
Hmm.
and that takes place pretty much not entirely in the daylight, but quite a lot of it is in the daylight too. So and I loved Hereditary as well. So that's why I suggested it.
Hmm. Sai, what's your take on Midsummer?
Yeah, I like the daylight thing too. I love the psychedelic, very accurate psychedelic representations. You know, like
Mm.
the mushroom trips, especially
Hmm.
the dark negative parts of it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, the reveal at the end with the Green Man. What's his name? I forget. The spoiler alert. You know
I never
uh
seen it.
the friend that brings him there. You know that shit's
Yeah.
so dope. That's how that goes so hard.
Hmm.
Definitely caught me by surprise. Like I didn't know the first time I watched it. Um, and I love the is it Mark, the guy from the Jennifer Aniston, Jason Sudeikis movie, the We're the Millers. You know the kid. Uh,
Uh, are you
he's
talking
that
about the kid
actor.
that looks like the Toy Story villain
Yeah,
kid?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That I
yeah. I
love
know
it.
what
He's
you're
my
talking about.
favorite.
Yeah, that's why I grew my hair out because I used to look like him when I was younger. So, yeah, it was
He's my
that's sick.
favorite.
Mhm.
He's my favorite character in the movie.
Oh
I
yeah, the
love.
one
Yeah,
who really wants to get everyone to eat the shrooms immediately and then has the bad trip. Yeah,
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 and the guy that
many
just
such
doesn't give a
cases.
fuck about any of. He's just like, yeah, he's just there clowning. He's like a total
Pissing
bro,
on the
dude.
ancestral tree,
Yeah, yeah,
which is amazing. By the way,
yeah.
that's an amazing thing. I rewatched this for the second time. I didn't realize it was 2.5 hours long the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt the 2.5 hours the second time because one thing I think it suffers from, I do, and I'm saying this as somebody who really enjoys the movie, but the one thing I think if I'm going to nitpick it, we're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode. After the mallet smashing thing, which is still jarring, the mallet smashing of the elders who are reached their end of their life cycle. After that, it kind of lulls a little bit, like, and it's still cool. It's still very pleasing to look at. There's still much going on. Not to say nothing's happening, but it for a long. I don't remember that much middle time of kind of meandering psychedelia as much. I don't remember that. But I do like one thing I didn't put two and two together for the first time I watched this, because I think for a lot of things, the first time you watch a movie, you're just like, what'd you think from a surface level? But the second time you watch it, you can understand, I think, what the director or auteur or whatever is telling you. And I think with Florence Pugh, who is really unsettling to me. She's a great actress. She's just very unsettling, just like to look at and hear speak, especially in real life. If you hear her like talk on like off out of as her regular self, she's like always sounds like she has a cold and
Do you
stuff.
guys
And
do you guys think she's hot? I asked A
no,
that earlier.
absolutely revolting.
Okay.
Especially in Oppenheimer. Yeah.
I
And
mean, I'm not, for me, not revolting, but definitely not. You know, kind of like
yeah,
maybe like a
Yeah, she's not
6,
she's
7.
not really like, yeah, a lot of she's not like a straight guy's like bombshell actress by any means.
Which
yeah,
is
in
funny because
Oppenheimer, yeah.
the whole
Well, go ahead.
Midsommar movie is her getting like the guys like, you know, they're like dating, but he's just like whatever, you know, he's just like not, you know, he's just like fuck, I'm over
Yeah,
this
and
shit or whatever.
he's like, you can tell like he could kill it anywhere. He's one of those guys that like women and gay men probably think he's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, but as guys, we think he's just like a regular guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just got like that kind of like that look, and they've been together like, was it like 4 years and a month or something like that? It was like something, and he like forgets her birthday and stuff, and it's pretty much the Wicker Man for women. And but
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I was talking with A's wife about it
Mhm.
earlier, and she said two things that I thought were insightful. The one, she said she didn't think the mallet smashing was as disturbing as the head blowing off the mongoloid, just because in Hereditary, when that happens, you're kind of like with the brother and you're like feeling
Yeah.
that guilt, whereas she was saying that like, it was so gory. It was almost like, I feel like she almost used the word like beautiful in a way. Like it was like
Mhm.
it was more fascinating than
Yeah.
terrifying. And the other thing we talked about was how women's reaction to this film was very much like, fuck that dude, like,
Mhm.
felt like feminist message, like he's a loser boyfriend, and dudes did not have that reaction to
It
the
was like a
film.
revenge fantasy.
Yeah, but
Well,
a lot of women I know see it as like essentially like a revenge fantasy against a mean man.
Well, here's what I think happened. I think there's a meta narrative to all this. It is a feminist movie, and that's not a critique. That it is. It is. Women are allowed to feel scorned by, especially when their sister kills her parents and herself, and they're alone in the world. And the one guy that they thought they could lean on because they've been together for quite a long time kind of doesn't care, and was planning like a trip that she's not invited to. Like, I get that. Like, that's shitty. That's not what you're supposed to do. Like, but the one thing that's interesting is I think the reason she's so drawn to the cult, because she buys in towards at the end. I mean, there's that last scene. It's cool. Like, it's where she really buys in, and you can tell for the longest time that she kind of was selected to be the queen. I think there's like a real conspiracy narrative that the cult orchestrated the murder suicide, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I would, to kind of draw her in, make it look appealing to her. I think there's something that could be explored there. But also, I think she loves that the cult has everything under control, because what is her life at that point? Her life, nothing is in control. Her sister kills her parents. That turns everything upside down. Whereas when you see the mallet smashing scene, that is, to her, even at the time, it's scary to her, but it probably is a little beautiful when those people decided that their life was over at the end of a cycle determined by the religion they believe in, and they were killed and on their own terms. Whereas her parents absolutely were not. And then you have the boyfriend thing, where her boyfriend is like gonna like mate with another girl, but like that's weird. But also, she's having trouble getting him to commit to anything. She would never have that trouble inside the cult, right? Because everyone's determined. You've been selected as a match to mate with this person. So everything is controlled. And she realizes that she's part of a society where she doesn't have to worry about any of the stuff that she had to worry about before.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I also really like the head smashing part, weirdly, like where the old people kill themselves or whatever.
Yeah. And what's worse, that or Made in Canada, right? The Made program in Canada. What's worse?
But to me, it was like I don't know, like they brought death to like out of the shadows and just kind of like as something that's a part of life that, like they just accepted. And like, whereas I feel like here it's like it's all hidden away, like everyone like goes and dies like in a hospital, like, or whatever, like away from everybody else. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was
it's like, it's one of those things where obviously, like, if all of us went, we'd be like, what the hell? I mean, I would be on a lot of psychedelics and I'd probably just whatever happens. But I'd be like that. I definitely wouldn't be like the weird black dude doing his thesis. Like I definitely wouldn't be doing my thesis there and then getting in an argument about, do we both get to do our thesis here, and then taking pictures of their little scripture and stuff like that. But I thought the food looked appetizing. That looked fun. I mean, I could set up something similar with a Rishi situation, with like the drinks where we dance around in circles. I don't hate that. And really, like, what's the difference between a cult and a club? You know what I mean? And like and nowadays, you know, like it's there's not that much difference anymore if you take away the brutal murders and killing, of course. But that's probably the only difference, right? I mean, like nowadays, I know I see people that sit around and watch CNN all day. It's a cult to me, and they applaud certain people's deaths. They applaud deaths of their enemies, and things like that. And I'm just like, at least theirs is outdoors and they're touching grass, you know?
Yeah, I found the cults appealing in some ways. I've often joked that I feel like I would be very susceptible to a cult. People respond to me that they don't think so because I don't like listening to anyone tell me what to do. But I understand. I'd never heard it framed like that, Glenn. But that's interesting. Like, one thing about joining a cult is it is true. It's like the rules are very defined. And it's kind of, if you think about COVID and you think about like wokeness, right? Like, those are like attempts at like defining like, this is right, this is wrong, this is what life is supposed to be. You know, both of those kind of paradigms are kind of cultish in a way. And that's, I think, why some people really genuinely did like them, you know?
Yeah. I think I was also too, like, props to the dude being able to get hard with all the dancing old naked women around him.
Oh yeah, and I mean, brave for the actor. I mean, he did Full Frontal, and he doesn't have like a total like schlong or anything. So, you know, I think, I mean, not that it's small. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he was.
I mean,
like,
I was going to ask you to weigh in on that because
no, I mean,
it was important. It's important.
He didn't go for the prosthesis either.
He didn't do the he didn't do the prosthesis. He famously said in interviews that was his body, and I think that's a
he watched the interviews.
I think that was a brave choice for a male actor just to kind of like go for it.
Who
Especially
was the guy that did the prosthesis?
the really
Everyone.
hot, a lot of them do it. The really hot guy did it in White Lotus recently.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, because his was like down to his knees. It's like,
yeah,
dude, yeah. It's like, what do you like, dude? You're like an absolute like Greek statue. It's okay if it's like 5.5, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's okay. You'll be okay. It's not. You know, go poor you. But it is interesting though, because if like guys do a nude scene, because I know Bret Easton Ellis, I just listened to him a lot, and he was talking about how him and the female director of American Psycho wanted Christian Bale, Patrick Bateman, to do Full Frontal, and he like wouldn't do it. And it's like, does denying Full Frontal kind of mean you don't have it going on already?
Probably. I mean, you know, and also it's like he's fucking Christian Bale, and like if he has an average size penis,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it kind of takes away from the fantasy that he has. You know who did actually show his penis, at least allegedly, is Ben Affleck in Gone Girl. That's apparently his real junk. So
I don't even remember that.
I don't remember that either.
yeah, it's something a gay guy spots.
I don't. I've seen that. It's a great movie. I just haven't. I don't remember that. That's weird.
You see it for like half a second in the shower when she's washing the boat off.
Okay. Yeah, it's
freeze
one of
frame
those
that shit?
paws. Yeah, one of those paws.
Yeah.
Pause for
The
gay
pause doesn't have
GC.
it doesn't have the right granularity. You got to try it 47 times.
Yeah. But our mascot apparently does got it going on, so he was willing. You know,
That's true. That's him down there. That's great. But no, I Midsommar is really good. I think Ari Aster is really talented, and I think he's one of those guys that I think he benefits from the modern era of nobody being that good as far as making psychological horror the way that he does, or just movies kind of with meta narratives and things. Like, there's not a lot of directors that can do it, so he does get like overrated, where as far as when you hear like film people, like I've done an episode with Adam Lehrer a long time ago where we talked on his System of Systems, where he's kind of, you know, Adam's the film guy, and he's just kind of like, yeah, it's like his movies are like cool and interesting, but it's like I hate hearing about how amazing he is, because if you put him in the 70s, it wouldn't be jack shit, which I do agree. But
Definitely.
but you know, at the same time, I think that also makes him a little underrated, because every movie I watch of his I enjoy. I haven't seen Beau is Afraid yet, but I've heard that even Adam says that's his actual best. I haven't seen that yet. But have you guys ever seen The Strange Thing About the Johnsons?